Over in recent pages of the X-Men, the mutants have formed the nation-state of Krakoa. Krakoa is a place where all mutants can roam free. And when the mutants formed a governing body called the Quiet Council, they decided to be more equal opportunity and even offered a seat for the villainous members of the mutants, such as Nathaniel Essex, Mr. Sinister himself. What the X-Men didn't realize is that Mr. Sinister had been planning something violent all along. He ended up sabotaging the mutants' resurrection protocols. He exploited the mutant power of Moira McTaggart, somebody who is now a foe of the X-Men, and even caused an alternate reality to sort of take a foothold over in the Marvel Universe. My name is Arako Braddock, and today we're going to be taking a look at Nightcrawler's #1 to see how Mr. Sinister's elite hitmen are kind of taking a foothold over the Marvel Universe. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting the like button if you enjoy our content. And I want to read off Marvel's solicitation text for Nightcrawler's #1 to get you caught up to speed on the issue. Sinister's Private Assassins. 10 years into a twisted future, Mr. Sinister unleashes his private army of assassins, the Legion of the Night. Meet WAGNERINE commanding this killer crew of brainwashed hybrids, each one a genetic mix of Nightcrawler and another one of Marvel's most murderous mutants. Mysterious forces seek to break Sinister's control over these fatal fanatics, to turn them against him. But who are they, and what are their true motives? Enter Mother Righteous, and a meeting of the most mysterious, powerful players in the Marvel Universe. And next up, I want to go ahead and read off the creative team for Nightcrawler's #1. And this issue is written by Si Spurrier. It's illustrated by Paco Medina, colored by Jay David Ramos, and lettered by VC's Clayton Cowles. And the cover for the issue is illustrated by Lionel Francis Yu and Sunny Go. I actually want to go ahead and show off the cover for Nightcrawler's #1. Here's a peek at the cover for the first issue. And I want to thank Adventures in Poor Taste for posting this preview for Nightcrawler's #1 so incredibly quickly. And just a couple things I want to go ahead and say about this issue up front is that it features just beautiful artwork over from Paco Medina, kind of right from the opening couple of pages. I love how much Medina's art is kind of streamlined, especially for this tie-in issue for the Sins of Sinister event over at Marvel. It's great to see, some of these new concepts like the Legion of the Night, Mr. Sinister's like private, hitmen who are the kind of chimeras coming from, some of Nightcrawler's powers. And it's just so fascinating to see this concept rendered with such incredible precision on pages like this, pitting the team against Banshee, who is now under the control of Mother Righteous. I love kind of how heady a lot of these science fiction concepts are that are imbued into the issue over from writer Si Spurrier, and just kind of the way Medina renders this with such incredible, precision, but also there's such kind of like expression in each of the characters as well. The characters always have this sort of like secondary action throughout the issue that makes it look so exciting, throughout the story. I love how kind of frenetic a lot of like the movement and the pacing is as well. A lot of pages with the Nightcrawler characters have such incredibly precise composition over on the page as well, in addition to a lot of kind of strong emoting over on the page. This issue had an incredible amount of science fiction concepts kind of coalescing into one story. There were multiple kind of stages of Sinisters throughout this issue, and it just kind of threw me for a loop, but also brought me deeper and deeper into the story. I love how kind of so many X-Men titles have been kind of reinforcing their plot points, even going beyond the Sins of Sinister story, as we're kind of getting a couple, plot threads from the main X-Men series kind of coalescing into this as well. Plus, it's great to see how several like key plot points from the last issue of Legion of X are referenced here. I especially like the very kind of candid scene over with Dr. Nemesis and Nightcrawler that we got a little bit later in the issue. I think this was kind of a great check in to some of the more recent kind of status quo elements that happened towards the end of Legion of X. So it was really great to kind of check in with that. Also, throughout this issue, I think kind of my favorite aspect of it was the way that we sort of got deeper. We got a deeper and deeper look into what the true plans were for Mother Righteous. I really wasn't expecting kind of the direction that she took at the end of the issue, especially when I sort of, compared and contrasted it to the beginning of the issue, where she's sort of talking to a group of Sinisters. So I was just so intrigued by the end of the story. And I'm wondering if this issue kind of houses what the true conclusion to the Sins of Sinister event is going to be. And I do want to, spend a few moments talking about the final twist over on the last page. While I definitely don't want to give it away, I do want to kind of commend Marvel's editorial team because it looks like we kind of got the best look yet at what Mother Righteous true plans are, and we got to look at some of the firepower that Mother Righteous is working with, and it's an incredible amount of items that have been teased across several Marvel Universe titles that have all been kind of leading to this. So one more aspect of X-Men continuity has been filtered through so many books to give such a strong sort of crescendo and foothold into this Nightcrawlers chapter. So I was incredibly intrigued to learn a little bit more about that. And also I also thought that we got a sort of interesting tease at the origin or kind of beginning stages at Mother Righteous as well. She continues to have this sort of fascinating relationship over with Vox Ignis, the Banshee, who has now kind of took on the spirit of variance. So it's interesting to see how, he kind of serves as her protection against, some of the Legion of the Night characters, the chimeras across, Sinister's squad of hitmen. But the end of the issue is mostly centered on Mother Righteous as she kind of reveals, several key plot points that may guide us towards the end of the Sins of Sinister crossover. Plus, I love kind of the tease at the Dominion sort of concept that we got from the infographic in these pages. There's just so many individual moments in small aspects that really make Nightcrawlers #1 a special chapter. From the really kind of fluid artwork depicting these science fiction concepts with such clarity from Paco Medina, as well as sort of the in-depth science fiction script that has just so many layers of complexity over from Si Spurrier. So those were some of my thoughts over on Nightcrawlers #1. This is a really great tie-in to Sins of Sinister that expands the scope of the event and also kind of imbues so many interesting aspects of Legion of X into the story. I love the fact that this sort of one issue will serve a variety of different audiences. And just like with the last chapter, as long as you're aware that this is sort of an alternate universe 10 years into the future, and that the X-Men are being ravaged by, Sinister's influence in several Nightcrawler characters, I think you might have a surprising kind of blast with this issue as it introduces, so many new aspects and elements, as well as kind of plot threads that are coalescing into one chapter. So I want to know from you, what are some of your thoughts over on Nightcrawlers #1? Did you enjoy this chapter as much as I did? And where do you think this crossover is going to go next? Thank you guys so much for checking out the video, and we'll be back really soon for more excellent comic book content. We'll see you soon. Bye.